Across the state of Alabama, the attorneys, proudly sponsored by Hollis, Wright & Couch, are here to serve you. Your tough legal questions answered by our experts. The attorneys with Josh Wright from the Hollis, Wright & Couch Law Firm and host David Lamb.
Hello and welcome into the attorneys. Appreciate you spending your Sunday evening with us. For the next half hour, we have a panel of experts here to answer your tough legal questions. And throughout the show, you'll see ways you can call, text, or email. We would love to hear from you. Our panel led by Josh Wright of the firm Hollis, Wright & Couch. Good to see you, sir.
You too. Hope you had a great week.
Indeed, I did.
Good topic tonight. And we come back to this every once in a while, but it's car accidents, what to do if you've been in an accident, what the laws are in your favor, how insurance works, those types of topics. You know, it's a relevant topic. Almost 50% of all Americans in their life expectancy will be involved in a car accident. About every 4 minutes, one of the statistics shows there's a car accident in the United States. So it's very prevalent in our state. And although we hope nobody ever is seriously and catastrophically injured in an accident, at least the show today will be able to help answer some questions about if you are in an accident, what you do. We bring Greg Foster on, who handles a lot of these cases at our firm. Greg, glad you're on with us today. He's really an authority in this area, and he'll be great to answer some questions for us today and serve kind of as an expert.
Well, Greg, good to see you. Thanks for welcome back.
Well, thank you. Good to be here.
You know, if we were to probably go to a mall and ask 10 people, what are you supposed to do if you're in an accident? There's no telling the number of different answers we would get. So from an authority, help us if we are in an accident, what really are the smartest next steps we should take?
Well, the first thing is make sure that everybody's okay. I mean, accidents, you have a different level of severity. I mean, there could be a minor accident, there can be a major accident. So definitely you want to check everybody in the vehicle, are they okay? If anyone needs any medical attention, then you need to call for it. You need to call 911. You need to somehow or another make sure that an ambulance comes, picks them up, takes them to a medical facility. That's your number one concern. So make sure that people are getting the medical care that they need. From there, there's other things that you would do. For example, taking photographs, calling the police, making sure that you're reporting the accident so that they can come down to the scene. Different things such as that if you are involved in an accident.
David, I think the biggest mistake people make is they assume that they can take down information from the other driver, even if it's a minor fender bender. And we're not talking about a case that amounts to a lawsuit. We're talking about a case that insurance jumps in and they pay property damage and get the case over with quickly. But people take down information, never do an accident report, and then go on their merry way and just assume the insurance company is going to do the right thing. At the end of the day, you want to call the police and you want to make sure they're there to do an incident report so that you've got some evidence and documentation that you've been involved in an accident. It will help ultimately with the insurance company.
Those moments the scene of the accident, right after the accident, those next moments are just crucial, aren't they?
Absolutely, because I mean, from an auto case, that's where your evidence is the injuries to you, the damage to the car. So often what is used in an auto case is pictures of the vehicle, and they'll show those to the jury. We'll show them to the jury. It helps the jury understand as far as the severity of the accident. But what's more important is the medical care and treatment. But yeah, the first few minutes of the accident, absolutely crucial. Because say, like Josh is saying, say you walk away and there's photos not taken of the vehicle, that's an issue. Say you walk away, you don't get that medical treatment that you needed right then, but you wait later down the road. Somebody's going to use that against you. They'll say, well, you really weren't hurt. You didn't go to a doctor because you were being a tough guy or a tough woman and trying to wait and say, hey, I'm going to seek this medical treatment down the road. Don't do it. If you're hurt, go see somebody.
Yeah, another important thing to remember at the scene of an accident is there are likely going to be witnesses. Get information related to the witnesses. Now, the officer should do that when he gets there, and he generally will, and he'll put it in his incident report. But find out who the witnesses are, get contact information for them to the extent that that's going to become an issue. If you're rear-ended in front of 20 people, it's probably not as significant because the officer is going to get several witnesses. But if it's an accident where there may only be one witness or maybe only two witnesses, you want to try and document that information as fast as you can. Greg has talked about pictures. Remember this, just about all of us, in some respect, have capability on our phones to take pictures nowadays.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some out there that do not have cell phones that do that and don't have that capability, but somebody there at the accident is going to have the capability to take some pictures and email them to you or get them to you one way, and that's critically important so that you've got that documented evidence.
You guys touched on this before, but a question we've got here, is it true that it's better just to exchange insurance information with someone after a car accident rather than calling the police to file a report? Because that is something that you hear out there.
It goes back to what Josh was saying. You want to call the police. You want to make sure that they come in and document what's going on with the accident scene, because you're going to have the accident's just part one. I mean, you're going to have a little story here, and part one is the actual accident or incident that occurs. Then you've got the medical treatment storyline. Then you've got, as far as the documentation of what occurred at the actual accident. So the police officer coming in, they're going to document that. But another storyline you're going to have is dealing with insurance companies. And like Josh brought up, if you say, well, this happened on such and such a date, and they say, well, where's the accident report? Well, I don't have one. Well, then they're going to say, well, were you really in an accident? Were you really hurt? I mean, they're going to start questioning you, and so that is very crucial as far as building your case.
Yeah. Another question that we've got here, something that you're hearing a whole lot more now, having to do with texting and the use of your cell phone while driving. What happens if you're in a car accident because the other driver was texting and driving? Is that a crime?
Go ahead, Greg.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, Alabama changed this, I believe it was in August of this year. I mean, the legislature had actually passed a bill, signed into law by Governor Bentley, and then it actually came into effect, I think, August 1st of this year. So if you text and drive, you have broken the law. And so that is very crucial. Now, you can talk on a cell phone. I mean, they've made a distinction there. But still, talking on a cell phone and driving is a distraction. And so it's something that we use in cases all the time as far as somebody being a distracted driver. So it's important as well.
And let me tell you why that's important. A recent statistic has come out that roughly 25% of all accidents involve somebody with a cell phone. Think about that for a second. That's significant. So that's another thing at the scene of the accident. Immediately after the accident, to the extent that you're capable of doing this, you know, make sure you observe what's going on at the time of the accident immediately thereafter, because you may find that a person was on the cell phone. It's another reason why you want to go, to the extent that it's an accident that warrants it. If somebody's been injured, there's significant damage, you want to get to a lawyer as quickly as you can, because lawyers are able to go and gather the documentation and preserve the evidence that's necessary to make sure that you're presented in the best light in front of the insurance company when it comes time to resolve the case. And I would mention one more thing, and I know we're going to go to break, but consider this. Every driver in Alabama has to have insurance by law. All right, there are some very minor exceptions to that for self-insured companies, some government agencies, etc. But every driver, for the most part, has to have insurance in Alabama. So you want to make sure you get the documentation together to make sure you can present your best case and your best foot forward to the insurance company.
Our topic tonight, car accidents, what we need to know. We all have vehicles, so we need to pay attention here. As we head to break, a reminder, ways that you can get your questions to us: call, text, email. You can also find the firm of Hollis, Wright & Couch if you'll just search that term on Facebook, or you can find them on Twitter. Just search for Hollis_Wright, and you will find them there. Stay tuned. More attorneys coming right up.
I'm Josh Wright with the law firm of Hollis, Wright & Couch, and thanks for watching The Attorneys on Alabama's 13. Now, we hope you, a friend, or a loved one never need legal counsel for a case. But if you do, the goal of the show is simple: provide answers and legal counsel when you need it the most. Your call to the show is free, so if you have questions specific to this show or related to other civil legal matters, call, email, or text us to talk with one of our lawyers. You can also follow us on Facebook or Twitter to learn about important legal news that could affect you or your family. Or simply contact us by going to alabamas13.com and click on the Attorneys link. We know your time is valuable, so thank you for spending it with us and for watching The Attorneys right here on Alabama's 13.
serious about that texting and driving. Welcome back in to the attorneys. While we come back, a reminder, call, text, email. Get your questions into us. We'd love to hear your thoughts about the subject of car accidents. A question we actually have here, gentlemen, what do I do if an uninsured motorist is the one who hits me?
David, that's very important. One thing, before that even occurs, what you need to do is make sure that you have what's called UM or UIM coverage. That's uninsured or underinsured motorist coverage. And that's something that you purchase as an insurance policy, insurance contract, that you'll do it with an insurance carrier. And why is that important? Because of this particular situation. If you get hit by somebody that does not have insurance, now they're mandatory, they're supposed to have it by state law, but but some cases they don't. But if they don't have insurance and you're injured, then what's the recovery to you? A big fat zero, okay? Typically, if that's the person that hits you. And why the UM coverage is important is because that's something you purchase, and by having that coverage, what you're doing is insurance for you in case somebody hits you that does not have insurance. Right. And so it will pay to cover your medical bills, your injuries in a case. And so it is vitally important. And what people do, they typically will say, I want to save 20 bucks every 6 months. I don't want that. Rethink that, please, because it is, if you get in this situation, you need that coverage, because that may be the only thing that you receive.
There's also another component to what Greg was talking about, which is called underinsurance. And it's the same thing. It's when you buy UM insurance. If somebody, for example, only has $25,000 of coverage, but you've got $100,000 worth of medical bills, you are underinsured. Your underinsured or your UM coverage will pick up at the time that the person that hits you ends. So theirs ends at 25. Your UM coverage, because you are underinsured, will pick up and cover you. So again, another reason why you want to get UM coverage.
A couple of insurance questions from different vantage points. First one, do I have to report a car accident to my insurance company?
If you're going to file a claim at all, you need to call your insurance company. It's vitally important, and it's something you need to do immediately so you can put them on notice. And typically that's something that's part of your insurance contract with them. So that's another thing, be familiar with your insurance contract. A lot of people will get the insurance papers in the mail, they'll put them in a file or whatever. What you're going to have there is really two very important documents. One is a declaration page, which gives the insurance declarations. That's where it's going to tell you about the UIM coverage, and the other is the actual policy. And if you looked in that policy, it says, listen, if you're going to file a claim, you need to notify us. And so that's why you need to call them.
And talk to them just for a minute about, after an accident, if you're being called by your insurance company to give a statement versus being called by the insurance company for the other driver to give a statement, what your recommendation is related to that?
And it's two different animals here. One is if it's your insurance company calling, okay, you have an insurance contract with them, okay, you've paid them money and they're supposed to give you benefits in return. Part of that contract is you're supposed to participate in the investigation. You're supposed to help as far as providing information. Part of that is you give a statement. You will have to speak with them, tell them what happened, that kind of thing. Now, with the other insurance company of somebody that may have hit you, you don't have to participate. You have no insurance contract with them. That's something that you may want to consult an attorney, allow them to kind of work out the process, work with that other party as far as developing your case. But there's two different animals. If it's your insurance company, you treat them differently than if it's someone who hits you.
And at the end of the day, I think the idea here is if you're going to assert a claim, you can go to a lawyer. Most lawyers will handle and evaluate these type of cases, car accident cases, on contingency, which means you don't pay them anything. Pay them nothing until you recover, and if you recover. And to get the claim evaluated, it's probably a good idea to go get counsel, whoever it is. We don't say people have to come to our law firm to get counsel in car wreck cases. We handle those cases, but get somebody. And go get counsel that can lead, guide, and direct you and hold your hand through the process to make sure that when you go do give or provide a statement, that you're providing a statement to the right insurance company and you're prepared to answer the questions that you need to be able to answer.
All right, another question we've got here. What if I'm in a minor accident and there's no damage really to either car? Is it worth it to just shrug it off and just drive away?
Well, it just depends. I would... we all get in the heat of the moment, and maybe there's different things as far as decision making. If you honestly think that the only thing here is just something absolute, when I say minor, I'm talking about minor down on the floor minor,
just
okay?
A scratch.
Yeah, it's something just super minor. But if there's any potential for injury, property damage, any potential for any type of claim, you need to call the police, let them do a report. You need to seek medical attention. I mean, if there's anything that you've been injured or there's property damage, you know, people may define minor differently. So that's why I'm a little bit hesitant to say, you know, one way or another on that. But my recommendation is generally you need to be calling the police. You need to be getting them involved, because if you don't, you get back to what Josh was talking about earlier, you're going to have problems with the insurance company and filing your claim.
There's also a misconception out there I'm aware of, because I hear it from our clients all the time, that you know, somebody may not call the police because they were concerned that calling the police got an instant report working, and an instant report got to the insurance company and their insurance rates were going to go up. And that's not necessarily the case. Insurance rates generally aren't going to go up unless your insurance is required to pay because you did something wrong. Right. If you did not cause that accident and did not contribute to the accident, and you're the innocent bystander, so to speak, in the accident, your insurance isn't going to be affected. Yeah. And you need to be the aggressor in getting the police there and putting the police on notice so that an instant report can be done, so that you're in a position to be able to document exactly what happened.
All right.
And your insurance company's probably going to love you that you've got somebody else involved. It's like what Josh is saying, you know, at the end of the day, they're there, they have a contract with you, but if somebody else will pay for this, they love it.
Yeah, all right. Let's head to our second break of the evening. A reminder, as we do head to break, you can call, text, email the firm, Hollis, Wright & Couch. Also find them on Facebook. Just search that term. You'll find them there. And on Twitter, they are at Hollis_Wright. Stay tuned. The final segment of The Attorneys is coming right up.
I'm Josh Firth with the law firm of Hollis, Wright & Couch. Most of us have either been involved in or know someone who has had an automobile accident. Sometimes police will issue a ticket if one party is at fault in the crash. But what about those times when a ticket is not given? In tonight's Legal 411, we're answering the question, who is responsible when no ticket is issued? Just because there's no ticket does not mean there's no liability, especially if someone is injured in the crash. First, it's important that you understand the law. Did you know that unless an officer personally sees the crash, he can't write a ticket, even if he is certain the other person is at fault? There are two exceptions to this rule. One, if someone is driving under the influence, and two, if someone doesn't have proof of insurance for their vehicle. Even if a ticket is issued, there's no guarantee of liability or that the injured party will automatically win that case in front of a jury. However, a jury may find a person liable for negligence if the person at fault was driving improperly or violated a rule of the road. For example, driving without proper taillights, texting or talking on the phone, improper lights or signals on a trailer, failure to yield to oncoming traffic, hitting another car from behind, or changing lanes improperly or without signaling. Any of these can serve as a basis for a jury to find someone negligent for causing an accident and injuring another person or their property. So the person who caused the accident is ultimately responsible or liable for the injuries, even if the police officer does not assign fault. But you still have to prove it in court. That's why it's so important to ask for legal guidance if you're ever injured in a crash. Please remember, your call, email, or text to the attorneys is always free. All of us at Hollis, Wright & Couch want to help answer your questions on real issues you face. And remember, a competent lawyer will always respond to every question you send in. That's our pledge and promise to you. Thanks for watching The Attorneys on Alabama's 13.
The changing face that laws change when it comes to insurance, also texting. It's awful good idea to make sure that you're up to date on that, talking about car accident and your rights. As a reminder, this is our final segment, but still a few minutes remaining. If you want to call, text, or email to show that information on the screen there. Let's go right to a question. Okay, a question we've got here. I was in a car accident weeks ago. I thought I was fine then, but now I'm having some medical problems. Should I seek help?
I think the answer clearly is yes. Go ahead, Greg.
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely go immediately. I mean, do what you can to set up an appointment. If you have any concerns about your medical condition, then go and seek treatment. And this kind of goes back to what we talked about earlier. Don't play doctor. Don't play tough man, tough woman. If you're in a car accident and you have any inclination that you have been injured, I mean, sometimes you're in it and you've got the adrenaline going and you're like, I'm fine, and then a day or two later maybe it hits you. But if you feel just based upon the impact that maybe you're hurt, go seek it that day.
Right. Yeah.
And I think the general consensus in the medical community is oftentimes herniations in your neck and related to your spinal cord will not manifest themselves for several days. I mean, they don't always happen immediately. So when you do have that pain, you need to spend the time and the effort to go to a medical provider. And it's not just to craft a lawsuit. That's not the concept. The concept is take care of yourself, but also document things to the extent that down the road you do want to present a claim against the insurance company.
Yeah. And what is there kind of I guess it's kind of fuzzy, the general way to make that decision, but it doesn't take much for a car crash to be a pretty jarring hit on you. I mean, those are, hits that we're not used to, you're not used to getting just kind of wandering around. So if there is some sort of, maybe if someone else around you, if you've been knocked around, maybe you're not thinking all that straight. And if somebody says, you probably need to go get that checked out, good advice to follow that.
The forces involved in an automobile accident are incredible.
Yeah.
It's just simply, it's simply put that easily. And at the end of the day, you can be involved in a minor traffic accident but have significant injury. I've seen it happen over and over again we're not just talking about subjective, hey, I feel injured. We're talking about objectively shown through x-rays, MRIs, significant injuries that people have under what most folks would look as a minor fender bender. It all kind of depends on what the forces are at the time of the accident.
Right, and going to what Josh is saying, even though the property damage may seem minor, remember, now I'm not a physics professor or anything, and I don't claim to be one, but the force of that car that comes in and hits you, that force goes through your vehicle. Okay, so even though it's a minor hit, there could be enough in there that's going to, as Josh talking about, it's going to jar you. And even if you have a seatbelt on, you still got your neck movement. All that can be significant. So don't just look at the car and say, well, the car looks fine, I'm fine. No, the car could look fine, but still you've got a lot of energy that traveled through that car and it's injured you and you need to seek medical treatment.
The number one thing that we see in car accidents is rotator cuff injuries. Really is. I see more rotator cuff injuries with seatbelted occupants than just about anything else. It's kind of amazing. And that's a significant injury with significant surgery. I mean, some of those surgeries are $50,000, so it can be a very significant injury.
You brought up talking about seatbelt use. There's seatbelt in the state of Alabama. It's mandatory, right?
You are required to wear a seatbelt in Alabama. If you do not have a seatbelt on, the legislature has decided that it can't be used against you for purposes of evidence at trial. So we have a statute that addresses it. I think it's codified as opposed to a rule of evidence, isn't it? Codified?
I think
it's
so.
a statute, and the statute does not allow evidence that you weren't wearing a seatbelt. So it is mandatory, but it can't be used against you if you weren't wearing your seatbelt. So that's not a reason not to go talk with a lawyer and let somebody kind of walk you through the process. Go talk to the lawyer, disclose everything. And in most cars today, we know if people are seatbelted because there are black boxes in the vehicles in newer cars that establish whether or not somebody was belted or not at the time of the accident.
Yeah. And it's amazing the difference. I mean, hard to believe not too long ago they weren't even, the folks wandering around without them. Real quickly, we've got about 3 minutes left. What about on-the-job accidents? The process, is it any different there if you're on the job and you're in an accident?
Well, just make sure you put your employer on notice, because what you've got working there is that you have multiple potential claims. You have a workers' comp claim as far as you being on the injury at that time. Then you've got your claim as far as whomever came in and caused the accident, a claim against their insurance company. You've got your potential UM. You also have the employer's UM. And so if you're in that type of incident, you may want to consult an attorney, because you've got a lot of balls in the air that you're going to have to link up and make sure that you're looking at all those avenues.
One other thing, David, I wanted to mention too is I touched on the black box, kind of similar to an airplane. For those people that aren't familiar, that we have black boxes in airplanes that help kind of establish what took place prior to an accident or crash. For most newer vehicles, we have those also in vehicles that will establish things like the change in velocity, the speeds at which somebody was going within the last 4 to 5 to 6 seconds, whether somebody was belted and who was belted in the vehicle, the forces on the vehicle, meaning where the principal direction of the force was. A lot of that stuff can be obtained through forensics. Another good reason, even if you don't believe that there is a claim there related to personal injury, but there's property damage, to go get a lawyer to lead, guide, and direct you through the process to make sure that you've evaluated all circumstances to make sure there's not something there.
All right, just about a minute left. Time enough for both of you to give us a final comment and a final thought.
My thing is get the UM insurance. Be sure that you check your insurance policy, see if you have it. If you don't have it, then call your insurance agent, say, hey, I want some uninsured and underinsured motorist insurance coverage.
All right, Josh?
There are many accidents that will never amount to a suit and are dealt with just internally with an insurance company, and there's nothing wrong with that. For those that amount to more than just a minor fender bender, get a lawyer to lead, guide, and direct you through the process. A lot of times, and we tell people all the time, look, you don't have a case that warrants filing of a suit. Right. You need to go work with the insurance company. But in those cases where somebody is injured catastrophically at no fault of their own, it's time to go get counsel. And even in circumstances where it's not catastrophic but there's significant injury, right, you want to go talk to somebody.
All right, gentlemen, good to see you. Thanks so much. Interesting conversation tonight. We appreciate you being with us as well as we wrap things up. Ways for you still to get in touch with the attorneys at the firm of Hollis, Wright & Couch. That's how to get that. Find them on Facebook and Twitter as well. We appreciate the time, and we'll look for you next week right here on The Attorneys.
Thanks for watching The Attorneys, sponsored by the law firm of Hollis, Wright & Couch.